So we all aware that DBD does certain stuff, right? Certain things that does not align with the people who play the game, right? DBD does a lot of good, but he also do a lot of bad. And even with the bad, they make comebacks for it. Whether the comeback is real soon or the comeback take a few years or so. Regardless, they always make a comeback. However, there is one thing in my opinion that every time they try to make a comeback of, it fails almost every single time. And that's literally the title of this video. If I made it that title of the video. Map design. Like, I don't understand this, right? Map design in this game seems like it's just torture. Of course, aesthetically, it always looks amazing. I love how it looks aesthetically, right? Even though you could question some, but look, aesthetically, they always do their thing. They put in the good lore details, etc., right? But how the maps are formed for gameplay wise has been terrible. The last time that they actually made a legitimate improvement, good improvements that took them a big leap was back in 2019 when they did changes to certain maps like the Thompson house, to where it used to spawn between four jungle gyms, and then they decreased that to where it doesn't spawn that much no more. The palaces were a little bit weaker but still good. That time right there, for those who remember, was the only time to where it really was good when it came to map design. After that, you could debatably say when Pyramid Head came out with Midwich Elementary. My personal opinion, I like that map. But I know some people probably question it, right? But for the most part, it seems like they could never get it right with map design. They don't get me wrong. The devs did some other stuff too, other than maps. But in my opinion, overall, they mostly been doing a good job. There's literally two things that they seem like they really can't get right, and that's map design and their MMR system. But this video ain't about MMR. That's a different discussion. The map designs are so terrible. To me, I don't remember the last time we really got a legitimately good map. For real. I say one thing that they've done that was pretty decent was creating a new variation of old maps. So now we have two variations of. They did with the Macmillan, and they've done it with Auto Haven. Was it Auto Haven? No, Yamoka Estate. I think they did one more Ormond. All right, they're decent. So that's a little bit of a step forward, a little bit. But the problem is, every time they bring in brand new maps, it's always bad. The last good map that came in the game was probably back in 2019? Nah, not even, because even in 2019, bro. 2019, I don't remember, bro. I was about to say Bad Helm, but Bad Helm was trash when they did that rework. But that's not even a new map. I think it see, I can see that's how bad it is. I don't remember an actual good map that they brought. You know what? I was about to say Dead Dog, but now I remember them don't have so many breaking walls, they don't make any sense. But yeah, you see how I'm thinking? I can't really think of no legitimately good map like that. And it's crazy because their new philosophy is clutter. Add a whole bunch of clutter in the map so that whether you're killer or survive, you might bump into it. And you have like these extra details, right? Which aesthetically they're cool, but somehow it just be messing up the gameplay to where you just somehow get stuck every single time. And then you have breakable walls. They tested out breakable walls with the very first map that have it, which is Dead Dog Saloon. They did their thing with it, quote unquote, we thought. But then a little later on the line, we found out it's trash. And then you see that they added breakable walls to other maps, was the Realm Beyond. Yes, the Realm Beyond did graphic updates to the map, but he also made them weird and worse. Some of them might have been improved from the original variation, but then you have others to where they just made it worse. and they made it worse with breakable walls. And I don't like the system of breakable walls in this game because all it is basically you recreating infinites that you've already destroyed. When they brought the breakable walls to the old maps like Auto Haven, Macmillan, back in 2019 they got rid of the infinites from the main buildings. But then you come to tell me after you got rid of them, after they was so much of a problem from back in the early days of DBD, y'all want to semi bring it back? No, not even bring it back. Bring it back, even though they ain't true infinites though, since the mechanics are different when it comes to how you vault windows and etc. But you bring it back, right? And you have to break it like it's a what, a god palette or something. I don't get it. I don't get why y'all did that. Y'all got rid of it because how much of a problem, and then y'all bring it back. And then now Killer has another thing to do, which is break walls for no reason. The game map, in my opinion, is one of my favorite maps. Even though it was flawed as hell because of the breakable walls. The graphics, the Realm Beyond made the map 10 times worse, to the point I don't like that map like that no more. Because what they did with that map in particular is that they added breakable walls on there. And they added way more god palettes for no reason. And mind you, I'm a survivor main, but I also play killer. But people think I'm a killer main sometimes because of how I talk. No, I just play both sides a lot. That's all. But what they did with that map is put a whole bunch of breakable walls to basically create dead zones for both killer and survivor for no reason. While that wall should have just stayed broken, especially due to bad RNG, to where you're just completely stuck. And that don't make no sense. And then you got all these god palettes. And it's just I don't know. It's like they don't know what to really do with maps. And of course the more recent maps, like the two maps that's located in the moon. I forgot the exact names of them. I think the realm is called the Toba Landing. I think actually I might have that wrong, but you know, the two maps that came with the Singularity and Xenomorph, both of those maps have all that clutter. A Xenomorph map is not as bad, but it has, in terms of like tiles, in terms of palette tiles, but it's still pretty annoying because you have all that nonsense clutter. I would have been maining Hillbilly right now. They didn't have all that unnecessary clutter. I probably would have played Huntress. No, I played Huntress. What I meant to say, I probably would have made Huntress if it wasn't for all that clutter. I don't know. To me, I think all that stuff right there what makes the maps real annoying. And like I said, the balance wise too. Some of these maps, not even gonna say some, a good amount of these maps, they basically having pallets spawn so close to each other. Like Badham has, I don't know how many pallets around a killer shack, like 4 or 5. Why is that? Why in the world are we going backwards? Because back then it was like that. The only difference is that there wasn't much clutter, but there was a lot of pallet tiles, right? Okay. And then you also have Aria Crows. For some reason, that's a map that everybody brings so much. Is it because of that main building and how it's structured? Is it because of the unnecessary little tree branch that poke out of nowhere to where you try to hug a tile and you bump into it and then you just get hit down? Or for killer to where they try to, you know, use their power like a Wesker. Next thing you know, he just bumps into like a little stick. Why y'all designing maps like that? Matter of fact, why is the map still like that? I mean, yeah, y'all improved it compared to the original iteration to where the map was bigger. That's good. But then at the same time, it's still much more of a problem. To me, I don't know why they trying to bring this type of philosophy. I don't get it. Now don't get me wrong, there are some maps that are actually pretty good, right? They're actually pretty decent, right? That's more or less on the balance side. But I'm mostly referring to the survivors. So don't get me started on Badham. Not Badham. Haddonfield. I already talked about Badham. Haddonfield. Haddonfield for years was considered the most survivor-sided map in Dead by Daylight's history for the longest. Until what, a year or two ago? No. Not a year or two. I think it was like last year. months ago. I don't remember how long. I know it wasn't that long ago, but they made it so that map hardly has any tiles. That map is by far the most killer-sided map in Dead by Daylight's history. See, now it's nice to have a map to where the killers have somewhat of an advantage, but that's too much. You could literally win with anybody on that map. That map is so hard to escape from, bro. It's ridiculous how hard that jump is to escape. And they say that Midwich Elementary is hard for survivors to escape. Bad Hill Preschool's worse. That map don't have nothing anymore. Nothing. See, it's one thing, right, to have a whole bunch of pallet tiles all clogged up together to where you can almost say it's like a semi-double pallet, which you already know. There's the Greenville Square that has double pallets and whatever, but I'm not gonna talk about that map right now. But there's one when you have stuff like double pallets, but then there's another thing to where you have pallets that's like 8 miles away from each other. How the hell? Then you have the main buildings to where you have like this pretty decent window, right? But then you got this, well, it could have been a decent window, but then you got like this big hole that's so close to the window. All the killer has to do is just go right through there, and by the time you get down on the ground, unless you have balanced landing, you're going down. I don't really know what to say. Like I said, the devs, they do good when it comes to lots of killer balances. I don't care what none of y'all say. Yes, sometimes they make the most busted stuff or they make the most underwhelming stuff, but guess what? For the most part, though, they fix it. With the exception of Freddy and Skull Merchant. Those two are trash anyway. In everything, in my opinion. In everything. But they be trying, bro. And you can see the good effort into that. Don't get me wrong, you see the good effort in what they do with the maps, but not in terms of balance. I'm sorry. They don't know what to do with balance when it comes to maps. Maps, though, they fail every single time. It's only them rare few times to where it's like, okay, this map ain't that bad. But for the most part, it's just bad. Especially when you go into high level play, and I'm gonna say that's a survivor. You play survivor, you go against a good killer, right? But then next thing you know, right, you at some random dead zone because that map hardly spawned that much pallets and you're down. Or it could be the other way around to where there's so many pallets though, to where the killer doing all that mind game and stuff is completely irrelevant. All you have to do is hold W. Especially when you use a perk like Windows Opportunity. Like it's too RNG. Don't get me wrong, I like the RNG, but if you're gonna have RNG, at least have the RNG to where everything's balanced with it. So this variation, that variation in terms of strength are equal. So that when you have, for instance, right, the tile on the left, and it usually spawns with a tile or something a little bit different, like what? Like a jungle gem or whatever. I know nowadays they make jungle gems with no windows, which I'm not even gonna get to that. To that, that's weird in my opinion. But you got something like that, or you have another tile, another side. I don't know. Basically, make it so that they're equal in strength. So you have like this one variation of this weak palette, and then you have the other on the left, and then you have a more stronger palette on the right. But then you get two different variations of those palettes right there, instead of having what, a safe palette then a safe palette right next to each other. Right there, you know what I'm saying? I'm not best at fully trying to explain that whole thing because I don't know too much about the whole RNG based thing. But like I said, they should just have it to where it's more balance on that. Even though that's so many maps to do, and they just keep on flooding in maps. That's why when it comes to new chapters, I'm only excited for the killer and survivor. I don't be excited for the maps like that no more. I'm gonna be honest with you. And even then, another thing with maps too is that some of these maps don't really have much of that old DVD horror aspect anymore. Cause one thing that made DVD from back in 2016 to 2018, well, yeah, 2016, 2018, but not 2019, because I think the Realm Beyond, well, then until the Realm Beyond, what made those maps good is the coloring. It's how the color filter was. The color filter made it felt with the horror aspect, along with the mist. But I understand why they fully got rid of the mist. And I understand why they got rid of the moonlights as well, because That joint was broken. But yeah, it's stuff like that. Like it gave out the good horror feel. I remember back then you hear the entity's noise once you spawn into the map instead of going down the basement. Now the fun wise though, it's there for some maps. It's there for some maps. This is gonna be a crazy opinion, but I don't have a problem with Garden of Joy like that. Garden of Joy is a definition of a map, in my opinion, that's actually fun to play on, but it's busted as hell that needs to be balanced. I know that sounds weird, but when you think about it closer, it's like, yeah, to me, I just like it how it looks aesthetic. Like, it just looks fun to be on. It kind of reminisces of old DVD Living with the mist on that map. But that map is broken as hell. That map is strong, real strong for no reason like that. But like I said, I don't really know how you could really fix this problem, but I know people are saying remove map offering, which is crazy, but I understand why, because bro, they're so bad at balancing maps to the point where you just want to go ahead and just remove map offerings. Because you don't really hear people saying delete. Well, now you have some people say delete this add-on or whatever. But what I mean though is that when a certain situation happens to where it's completely busted and people kept on abusing it, you know what the devs do? They nerf it. And they nerf it to where it actually works pretty well. With the exception of Blight's add-ons. Which that's a little different topic right there in terms of that whole structure right there with Blight and his add-ons, but they usually nerf it or something to it, they buff it. When it comes to maps, well, all I can say is this. They try, they don't do much. When they do it, it becomes too overwhelming. Because let's be honest, the main thing that decides a match for the most part, other than the types of players that are in the match, is the map. The map is the biggest factor. And one thing I will say is this. Killers have their individual powers, right? Survivors don't have powers, but in a way they do. Their powers are map offerings. I mean maps. Map offerings is what, but maps. Survivors' powers are maps. If a survivor is on a powerful map, they're gonna have the advantage. If a survivor is on a garbage map, you might as well say that they're using a low tier power, equivalent to Skull Merchant and Freddy. But like I said, they had a very good map like Bad Him. You might as well say that they're using the nurse power or the spirit power or Hillbilly's power at that. That's how I see it. Survivors' powers are the maps. Killers' powers are what they have that we are all aware of. All right. But that's it. I'm done rambling though. I rambled a little bit too long. Hopefully y'all enjoy what I was talking about, because this here is ridiculous with these maps, bro. I've been saying this for years though. The biggest factor in this game are the map offerings. The maps. The map offerings wouldn't be much of a problem for a lot of people if the maps wasn't so unbalanced, bro. Don't get me wrong, the maps nowadays pale in comparison to the maps back in the day. But it's the fact that the maps still have that overwhelming presence like that. It's ridiculous. And it's not like we like, okay, these devs doing what they doing. You know, they doing what they do with the map. They're improving it. Man, they haven't really truly improved maps since 2019, bro. For the most part, it's just a spiral down, bro, when it comes to map. I just hope one day though they could finally fix that. To me, one thing I will say that's pretty nice though is, like I said, the other variations. Like for instance though, you have the suffocation pit, right? If I'm not mistaken, that's the hourglass map. You have the hourglass map variation, and you have the non-hourglass map variation. Which I prefer non-hourglass map variation because me personally, I don't like hourglass maps. That's another thing too. Hourglass maps are trash. Hourglass maps make the killer play in a boring way. And it gives the survivors a boring experience if that killer plays that boring way. And that's just Kent one side of the map. I don't like Hourglass map. That joint is very flawed. Very flawed. But yeah, I hope y'all like this. I'm done talking. I'll catch y'all later. If y'all mess with this content, hey. But yeah, I'm out, y'all. Peace.